Let me ask you something. When was the last time you watched a great movie like Interstellar, Oppenheimer, or cartoon Soul? Something that made you feel alive. And you walked out thinking, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to build something real, or become something, or I'm going to stop wasting time. And then 3 days later, nothing changes. You went back to the same routine, the same scrolling and the same excuses, the same version of yourself. Most people blame themselves for that. I'm lazy, I have no discipline, I'm not built for greatness. But what if the problem isn't you? What if the movies you love, the ones that inspire you most, are also the ones that are programming you to stay small? So stay with me because this one goes deep. I grew up on movies, and for a long time, especially during my darkest years, movies were my escape. When I was deep in addiction, when reality felt unbearable, I would disappear into films for hours. Interstellar, a man sacrificing everything for the thing that is bigger than himself. Inception, a genius bending reality through sheer willpower. Oppenheimer, a mind so powerful that it changed the course of history. And I would sit there completely absorbed, feeling the rush of inspiration. This is how life should feel like. This is who I could be. But here's what I didn't understand there. I was using inspiration as a substitute for action. The feeling of watching that Cooper pilot this spacecraft, I'm coming back. It gave me emotional experience of ambition without requiring me to do anything. The feeling of watching Oppenheimer.
We're in a race against the Nazis.
Carry the weight of his genius. It gave me a sensation of purpose without me having to build something real. I was getting high on other people's stories. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think millions of people do the exact same thing for years and calling it motivation. Here's what nobody talks about when it comes to self-improvement and storytelling. Hollywood doesn't show you the process. Hollywood shows you the transformation. Think about every great film you've seen. In Interstellar, we see Cooper's mission, his sacrifice, the wormhole, his Tesseract. What we don't see, the 10,000 hours of training, the paperwork, the days of nothing happening. In Inception, we see Cobb assembling a team of geniuses, pulling off the impossible. What we don't see, the years of failed attempts, the boring meetings, the self-doubt at 3 a.m. In Oppenheimer, we see mind that seems almost supernatural at its brilliance. What we don't see, the slow grinding and years of studying. The decades of quiet work before the breakthrough. Hollywood compresses years, sometimes entire lifetimes, in 2 hours of peak moments. And your brain watched that and unconsciously starts to believe that transformation is supposed to be like that. Dramatic, fast, cinematic. And then you sit down to work on your real life. Your YouTube channel, your business, your health, and it feels nothing like that. It feels slow, boring, uncertain, no dramatic music, no montage, no clear sign that you are on the right path. So your brain sends you a signal. This isn't working, this isn't it, maybe I'm not meant for this. And you stop. Not because you failed, but because reality didn't match the emotional template Hollywood. Now here when it gets more interesting. Remember the movie Saul?
Okay, look, I already know everything about Earth, and I don't want anything to do with it.
Saul seems like the most anti-Hollywood movie ever. It literally argues that obsession with your purpose can make you miss your actual life. That the small moments, the leaf falling, a meal shared, a sunlight through your window. That's what living actually is. Beautiful moments, and I loved that film. But here's the irony. Saul delivers that message in the most cinematic, emotionally overwhelming way possible. So you watch it, you cry, you feel it deeply. You think, oh yes, I need to slow down, I need to appreciate life. And then the credits roll, the music ended, and you go back to doom scrolling, because the feeling of the lesson replaced the living the lesson. This is the core problem. Hollywood gives you the feeling of transformation without transformation actually happening. It's not malicious, it's not conspiracy, it's just what stories do. But when you consume them passively, without awareness, they slowly replace your real ambition with the feeling of ambition. And feelings without action are actually an expensive daydream. There is a psychological concept called narrative transportation. When you are deeply absorbed in a story, a film, a book or a series, your brain partially loses the distinction between what's happening on the screen and what's happening in your real life. You feel Cooper's grief as your grief. You feel Oppenheimer's burden as your burden. You feel triumph of the hero as it was your triumph. And here's the key. The emotional release, the catharsis, actually reduces your drive to search for the real thing. Your nervous system got a version of the experience. It doesn't know that it wasn't real. It just knows the emotional need just met. This is why you can watch a documentary about climbing Everest and feel both inspired and somehow more comfortable sitting in your couch. The inspiration and the comfort happen simultaneously, and comfort usually wins. Now add to this social media. Every day you consuming highlight reels, other people peak moments, the breakthroughs, their transformation. It's a Hollywood logic applied to real life. Compression, drama, only the best shot. And again, your brain watches and get emotionally hit and mistakes the feeling of inspiration for the doing of the work. I did it for years. I consumed so much content about transformation while my real life stays exactly the same. The watching feels like progress. It wasn't. So, am I telling you to stop watching great films? No, that's not the point. Interstellar is still the most profound things I ever experienced. Soul generally changed how I feel about meaning. The point is to change your relationship with inspiration. Here's what actually helped me. Separate the feeling from the decision. After you watch something that moves you, don't act immediately. Sit with it. Let the emotions settle. Then ask yourself, what specifically do I want to do differently starting tomorrow morning? Not I want to be great, but I will write for 30 minutes before I open my phone. Specificity kills the fantasy, and that's a good thing. Notice when you are using inspiration as a procrastination. There is a version of self-improvement content consumption that's just a procrastination wearing a costume. If you watch 3 videos about discipline today and written nothing, built nothing, you weren't getting inspired, you were hiding. I know this because I did it constantly. The moment I stopped consuming inspiration and started tolerating the boredom of real work, everything started to move. Third, build your own story constantly. Here's what Hollywood gets right. Every great story has a protagonist who acts against fear, despite uncertainty, despite feeling not ready. You are the protagonist of your own life. But unlike a movie, nobody will give you a dramatic moment that forces you into action. You have to choose it. Quietly, without music, without anyone watching. This part Hollywood never shows, and it's only part that actually matters. I still watch films. I didn't feel the urge to become Cooper. Last time I watched Interstellar, I didn't feel the urge to become another Cooper. I felt something quieter. Gratitude that I'm building something real. Even if it's slow, even if it's nobody watching yet, even if there is no dramatic music while I'm doing this. But here's the truth about real transformation, the kind I lived through. It doesn't look like a movie. It looks like waking up when you don't want to.
I see it now. The path is clear. No longer a mystery, just execution.
It looks like doing the work when you have no idea if it's working. It's like choosing your path again and again, like I'm choosing YouTube in the most ordinary and cinematic moments of your life. That's not flaw in your story. That's what actually real story looks like. Hollywood taught you to wait for a moment that feels worthy of the hero you want to become. I'm telling you, stop waiting for that moment. You are already in it. If this hits something in you, drop a comment with the film that inspired you the most. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper and press like. Here's something the scientists don't advertise. Every single day, meteors enters the Earth's atmosphere. Thousands of them, and some of them are size of a car, and some even larger. And almost every single one burns up before it reaches the ground. The atmosphere does its job quietly. No announcement, no warning system, no news coverage, because there is nothing to report. The threat dissolves on its own. Now think about the last week of your life. How many deeds of catastrophes you prepare that didn't occur? How many conversations did you rehearse that never happened? How many worst scenarios did you build in full cinematic detail that burned up in the atmosphere before they even touched your life? You've been tracking meteors. And most of them will never land. I want to tell you about a period of my own life where my brain was basically a disaster prediction service. This was during and after my recovery, when the substances were gone and suddenly I had a full access to my thoughts again. My mind went into overdrive. Every one of the decisions felt enormous. Every uncertain situation becomes a catastrophe, potentially. Every relationship, even it's business or personal, carried the weight. What if this goes wrong? What if I lose this, or what if I can't handle it? Oh, I remember planning scenarios that maybe 3% of actually chance of happening. Losing sleep over conversations that existed only in my head. Avoiding situations because of the outcome that never occurred and might never occur. And here's the thing about my anxiety-driven thinking. It feels productive, it feels like preparation, like responsibility, like everyone is naive. And you think you are realistic, but what it actually is. Your nervous system running situations that cost you real energy, real time, real presence, the problem that exists only in the future and most of which will never occur. The meteors was everywhere in my mind, and I was standing in the open field just staring at them, completely forgetting to live my actual life. Let's talk about what actually happening psychologically. The formal term is anticipatory anxiety. Your brain, specifically the prefrontal cortex, has an extraordinary ability to simulate future. To model outcomes, to run scenarios. This is one of humanity's greatest evolutionary advantages. It's why we can plan, build or create. But this same ability, when get dysregulated, when it runs without filters, without rest, becomes one of the most exhausting things in your mind. Here's the core problem with catastrophic thinking. It violates one of the most basic principles of reality. Most negative outcomes never happen. Studies on worry, actual psychological research find that somewhere in between 85 to 95% of what people worry about either never occurs or significantly more manageable than they were feared. 85 to 95%. Just think about it, and think about it in terms of your own life. Think about the last 10 things you dread about. How many of them was as bad as you were imagined, and how many never arrived at all? And yet your nervous system spent resources on all of them. Real cortisol, real sleep disruption, real presence stolen from today. The meteors burn up, but the watching cost you anyway. There's another layer in here. Cognitive distortion. Specifically what psychologists call catastrophizing. The mental habit of taking an uncertain situation and automatically jumping into worst possible scenario. Your brain isn't doing this to torture you. It learned somewhere, probably very early. Preparing for the worst is a way of protection. If you imagine catastrophe first, you can be blinded by it. It's just a protection mechanism, just one that stops serving you long after the environment was changed that created it. Let's be honest about what chronic anticipatory anxiety costs, not just in stress, in life. Every hour you spend problem solving that doesn't exist is an hour you are not present in the life that actually exists. The relationship in front of you, the work you're actually doing, the small moments that actually exist right now and will never exist again. Worry pulls you out from living your actual life and into the situations of the future that statistically probably won't happen.
Yeah.
And here's the cruelest part. When something difficult does happen, something real, something now, you are often already depleted. You spent your resources on matters. You have nothing left for the actual ground level problem. Real resilience isn't created by worrying more. It's built by trusting your abilities to handle things when they actually arrive. So how do you actually interrupt this pattern? Distinguish between useful planning and anxious simulation. There is a real difference. Useful planning you identifying as genuine risk, replay it endlessly, prepare emotionally for it, and never reach a stopping point. One has an end point, but the other one don't have this end point. Ask yourself, is there an action that I can take right now about this concern? If yes, take it and stop thinking about it. If no, you are not planning, you are simulating. And simulation without action is just a suffering. Second, reality test your worst case. When the catastrophic thoughts arrive, don't fight it and don't feed it. Ask it one honest question. What is the actual probability of this happening? Not the emotional probability, not the felt sense of certainty, the actual realistic historical probability. Most catastrophes don't survive honest probability assessment. They need the fog of anxiety to feel real. Bring them to the light and they usually shrinks. Third, practice present moment anchoring. When you catch yourself in the future, in the simulation or tracking the meteors, come to one specific detail, sensory detail of right now, not as a spiritual practice, as a neurological interrupt. Your brain cannot fully simulate the future and be fully present at the same time. Choose presence and be repeatedly in this. Every time you've noticed you left. I still worry sometimes. A decision coming up, an uncertain outcome, the old simulation engine start running. But I catch it earlier now. And I ask myself, is this matter going to land? Because most of them won't. Most of what you are dreading right now will burn up in the atmosphere long before it reaches you. And the ones that do land, you will handle them. Not because you prepared to them in advance, but because you are someone who handles things. You've already handled things harder than most of what you are worrying about. The sky isn't falling. You just forgot to look at the ground you are standing on. Come back. This moment, unremarkable, specific and ordinary moment. This is your actual life, and it's been waiting for you to show up. Tell me in comments what's the worry you keep coming back. I'm really curious about this. And subscribe, press like.
It is a lie. They know.
You made a decision, you felt good about it, and someone looked at you certain way, or said something offhand, or posted something that felt directed at you. And suddenly the decision doesn't feel so solid anymore. You started second guessing, replaying what they said, wondering if they are right. Wondering what others will think, wondering if you are the problem. You didn't ask for their opinion, you didn't even respect their opinion, but somehow it got in anyway. And the most uncomfortable part, this isn't weakness, this is immaturity. This is one of the deepest psychological mechanisms built on every human being on the planet. Understanding it won't make you immune, but it might finally give you the upper hand. I want to tell you the moment that caught me completely off guard. I'd been working on my channel for over the year. I didn't even consciously value. Made a comment. Not cruel, not even that specific, just dismissive. The kind of tone and look that says, who do you think you are? And I felt it land. Not in my thoughts, in my body. Something tightened, something defensive activated. I noticed myself wanting to explain myself, to justify, to prove. And I caught it. Not immediately, but I caught it. That reactive pull to defend, to perform, that wasn't me responding. That was something older than me responding. A pattern installed long before I had any say in the matter. That's when I started to ask real questions. Why do other people's opinion reach me even when I've decided they shouldn't? What is actually happens in those moments? Here's what actually happening. When someone judges you, criticizes you, dismisses you or look at you in a certain way, your brain doesn't process it as information first. It processes it as a threat. The amygdala, the oldest part of your brain, doesn't distinguish a lion in the grass and a disapproving look from a colleague. Both triggers the same alarm system. Heart rate up, muscles tense, attention narrows. This is why logic doesn't help in those moments. You can know intellectually that their opinion doesn't matter. Your body already decided otherwise. But here's where it gets deeper. Jung called it projection. The opinions that hit us hardest are rarely just about other person's opinion. They're hitting something inside us that we already believe in ourselves. The criticism lands because the part of you accepts it. When someone implies you are not good enough, it stings because the voice inside you that's been saying the same thing for years. The opinion isn't creating a wound, it's finding wound that already was there. And this is the ego defense system in action. The ego, in psychological terms, is the structure that protects the sense of self. When that sense of self is threatened by judgment, by comparison, by rejection, the ego activates. Fight, you argue back, feel defensive, you attack. Flight, you shrink, you apologize, you start people pleasing. Freeze, you go numb, you disconnect, you pretend not to care. Most people oscillate between all three without even understanding what's driving them. They think they're reacting to the person. They're actually reacting to the wound. Here's what nobody in the self-improvement space tells you. You will never stop caring what people think. Completely, forever, done. That's not the goal. The goal is to build enough self-awareness that you can feel the pull and choose your response consciously instead of reacting automatically. There is a difference between I don't care what anyone thinks, which is usually either a lie or a defense mechanism, and I noticed their opinion landed. I felt the pull to react and I choose to respond from my own values instead of from the wound. The second one is real freedom, not the absence of reaction, the presence of choice. The people who claim that they are completely immune to other people's opinions are often the most controlled by them, because they have never looked at the mechanism itself. They just built a wall around it. Walls aren't freedom, they are just suppression. So what do you actually do with this? First, learn to recognize reaction. Before you respond to anyone's opinion, notice what happened in your body first. Did something tighten? Did you feel a pull to defend yourself? Did you feel the urge to explain yourself? That activation is the signal. Not that they are right, not that you need to respond, just that something was touched. Get curious about what. The second, ask whose voice it actually is. When someone's opinion lands hard, ask yourself honestly, who does this voice sound like? Often it's not the person in front of you. It's a parent, a teacher, the old version of yourself, or an old version of the environment where you learned that certain parts of you were unacceptable. You're not reacting to them, you are reacting to a ghost. Naming a ghost takes away almost all his power. Third, build an identity that isn't approval dependent. This is a long game. The reason others people's opinion control you is because part of you is built on their validation. Every time you act from your own values without needing confirmation that it was right, you build something that external opinions can't reach. Not overnight, not in a week, but consistently over the months and years, you will start to feel the difference. Their words still land, but they land on something solid, something that doesn't move. I still feel it sometimes. A comment, a look, a tone, something lands and I feel the old pull activate. But now I recognize it faster. And instead of reacting from the wound, I get curious about it. What is this touching? What does this say about what I believe that has in myself? What would I do here if I was moving from my values instead of fear? That pause, that tiny space of awareness changes everything. Other people's opinions will still exist. Some of them will still find a way in, but they only control you as long as you don't know that they are there. See the mechanism and you start to own it instead of it owning you. Tell me in comments what kind of opinion hurts you, the dismissive one, the comparison one, the ones from people that you don't even respect. I want to know it. So subscribe, press like and drop this comment. There is a version of anger that nobody talks about. Not the kind that explodes, not the one that is screaming, the slamming doors, the things you regret saying. The quiet kind, the anger you're swallowing in the middle of argument because you don't want to cause a scene. The anger you turn on into a joke because vulnerability feels too dangerous. The anger you bury so deep you stop recognizing it as anger at all. It just becomes tension in your shoulders. It becomes distance in your relationships. It becomes that slow irritability that follows you through your days like shadow you can't shake. Most people were never taught what to do with anger. They were taught to manage it, suppress it, control it, rise above it. But here's what I learned the hard way. Anger that has nowhere to go doesn't disappear. It just finds somewhere else to live. For most of my life, I was what people would call calm. Not because I didn't feel anger, because I was terrified of it. Growing up, anger was meant a chaos in my environment. It meant things breaking, relationship breaking. So I made a decision early on, probably without realizing it. I was making it that my anger is dangerous, that it needed to be contained, hidden and managed. And I got very good at that. I could sit in situations that deserved rage and feel completely still on the outside. And people would say, you're so calm, you're so controlled. What they don't see, what was happening underneath. During my addiction years, anger was there. I just had a very effective way of not feeling it. Substances are incredible at that. They put a thick wall between you and everything uncomfortable. But when I got sober, when the wall came down, the anger was still there. Every bit of it waiting. And I had no idea what to do with it, because nobody have ever taught me. Not how to feel it, not how to express it, know how to move it through my body without destroying something in the process. That's what this video is about. Not anger management, not how to suppress it, how to actually feel it, how to move it through you so it stops living in your body and ruining your life in the inside. So let's talk about what anger actually is, because most of us were taught that anger is a problem, a character flaw, a weakness, something to overcome. Psychology sees it differently. Anger is information. It's your nervous system telling you something here violates your values. Something here is crossed the boundary. Something here is not okay. It's one of the most important signals your body sends you. The problem isn't the anger. The problem is what we do with it, or more accurately, what we don't do with it. There is a concept in psychologically that is called emotional suppressing. When you consistently push your emotions down, anger, grief or fear, your body doesn't release them. It stores them in the muscles, in jaw, in the chest, in the pattern of how you breathe. Over time, suppressed anger becomes chronic anxiety, depression, emotional numbness, passive aggression, physical tension that never fully releases. You don't get rid of anger by not feeling it. You just change the form it takes. Jung calls this the shadow. The parts of yourself you reject, the emotions you deem unacceptable, don't disappear into nothing. They move into your unconscious, and from there they run your behavior without your permission. The person who never gets angry on public often has the most explosive inner world. The person who prides themselves for calmness is sometimes the most controlled, in a worst sense. Real emotional health isn't about never feeling anger. It's about having a relationship with it, knowing what it's telling you, and knowing how to move it through you without it taking over. So what actually works? Not suppression, not exposure. Somewhere in between. What I call ecological release. Ways of moving your anger through your body that don't hurt you or anyone else. That honor that you are feeling without letting it run the show. Here are the ones that actually helped me. First, physical movement without intention. Not just going to the gym, not passive exercise. Movements where the explicit purpose is to release. For me, video games did this in a specific way. Not escapism, not numbing. When I played with full intensity, when I let myself get competitive, frustrated, loud, something moved. The control aggression of gaming, the permission to react, to lose, to win, gave my nervous system a context where anger is acceptable, where it had somewhere to go. It sounds too simple, but your body doesn't need elaborate rituals. It needs permission. Permission to feel what it's feeling. Other physical release that works: running until your lungs burn. Hitting a pillow, not gently, actually hitting it. Tearing paper, throwing ice in a bathtub. Any physical act where you give anger a body to move through. The second one, vocal release. This one takes courage. Screaming into a pillow, going into the forest to scream out loud. Not words, not arguments, just sound. The first time I did this, it felt ridiculous. Standing alone between the trees, making noise like an animal. And then something cracked open. Because anger lives in the throat, in chest, in held breath, giving it sound, even privately, even alone. Moves it in a way that nothing else does. Your nervous system doesn't need an audience. It needs an outlet. The voice is one of the most direct pathways from the inside of your body to the outside world. Using it fully without filtering it is one of the most underrated emotional releases. The third, writing without editing. Get a piece of paper, not screen, paper, and write the anger out. Everything, all of it, without reading it back, without making it pretty, without thinking who might see. Then burn, tear it, throw it away. The point isn't to understand the anger yet. The point is to get it out from your body and into the physical world, so your nervous system stops carrying it alone. Understanding comes from release, after, not before. The fourth, naming it out loud.
What is happening? I won't let this define me. Go!
This sounds the smallest, but might be the biggest. When you feel anger rising, instead of managing it, suppressing it, explaining it away, just say it out loud if nobody is there. I'm angry right now. This made me angry. I feel rage about this. Something about naming an emotion in the first person out loud activates the prefrontal cortex, creates a split seconds of space between feeling and reaction. Not to suppress the feeling, to be present with it. That space, tiny as it is where choice lives. I'm not a calm person because I don't feel anger. I'm calm when I am because I've learned how to give anger somewhere to go before it takes over. The forest, the pillow, the page, the video game at full intensity. The moments alone where I allow myself to feel exactly what I feel. Nobody teaches us this. We taught to be appropriate, to regulate, to adult, to handle our emotions so they don't inconvenience someone. And there's a place for that. But underneath all the regulations, the anger still needs to move. Your body carries things longer than you realize. Give it permission not to destroy, not to explode, just to feel. That's not weakness, it's a beginning of something real. Tell me in comments how you deal with your anger, what works for you and what doesn't. And press like, subscribe. Sometimes after a breakup something strange happens. On one side there is sadness, but on the other is a relief. And then another feeling show up. It's a guilt. So why do we feel relief and guilt after a relationship ends? And what does it actually say about the relationship and about us? After a breakup, most people expect one thing: loss, sadness, but often something else happens. A person suddenly alone and feels relief. It becomes easier to breathe and less tension. And then a thought appears in your mind. Why do I feel lighter? What's wrong with me? And a few moments after, a different emotion arrives. Guilt, as if you did something wrong, as you are not supposed to feel relief. And it's a very common experience. That doesn't mean you are cold. It usually points at a deeper dynamic in the relationship. Even good relationship can carry a weight. The tension may come from different expectations, different values, or different plans for the future. Sometimes the tension becomes unconscious. You get used to it, but your mind still carries it. And when the relationship ends, that pressure suddenly disappears. And your nervous system reacts. Oh, finally I can breathe. That relief doesn't necessarily mean you don't love the person. Sometimes it simply means the relationship had been living in an inner conflict for decades. After relief, guilt often arrives. And this is another fascinating psychological concept. Most of us grow up with the idea that if relationship ends, we're supposed to suffer, miss the person, or feel only the loss. So when relief appears, mind questioning itself. Did that make me a bad person? Did I not care enough? But that logic is false. You can simultaneously value someone, feel grateful for the experience, and still know that a relationship is not right for you. These feelings can exist together. In many breakups, there's one deep conflict. The heart and your mind saying different things. The heart says this person mattered, there were real moments, there were real feelings. But the mind says our path is separating, we want different things, this relationship is no longer working. So when the final decision is made, the mind feels relief. but the heart is still grieving. And right at this intersection, guilt appears. There is another reason these feelings show up. If the other person is a good person, it hurts to know that your decision is caused them to hurt, even if the breakup was the right choice. You may know the relationship wasn't working, but at the same time you're wondering, how are they handling this? What are they feeling? Was I too harsh? That isn't always guilt. Sometimes it's empathy, the ability to feel another person's pain, and that's a very human thing. Many people are afraid to admit that they feel lighter after a breakup because it seems like it would make them cold and cruel. But often relief simply means the inner conflict ended, the uncertainty ended, the period of doubt ended. When someone long time has lived staying, leaving, trying again, that creates emotional tension. Once the decision is finally made, you can actually exhale. Some breakups are full of anger, some are full of resentment, but there is another kind. The breakup where both people understand we are not bad people. It's just our lives going to different directions. Those breakups often comes with strange emotions. Not hatred, but a mixture of gratitude, sadness, relief. And yes, sometimes there is a guilt. And that often means that the relationship was clear and real. If you are feeling relief and guilt right now, there are few things that can help you. Allow both feelings to exist. You don't have to choose one. You can feel sadness, relief, gratitude. Human emotions are rarely simple. Don't blame yourself. If relationships ended, it doesn't actually mean that someone was wrong or bad. Sometimes two people are going to different directions in life. Give yourself time. Breakup emotions don't disappear all at once. They come in waves. Today you may feel relief, but tomorrow sadness. A week later, calm. That's not inconsistency, it's healing. There's one truth people rarely talk about. Sometimes staying in a relationship out of pity or fear of hurting someone is actually more honest than leaving, because then one person is still inside the relationships that already ended in the mind of other person, and that creates even more pain. Sometimes a breakup is not a destruction. Sometimes it's a moment when truth finally admitted. After a breakup, millions of people feel this strange feeling. You wake up in the morning and suddenly realize we used to text each other, we used to plan our day together, there used to be someone next to me, and now there is silence. You walk through the city and places feel different. A cafe reminds you a date, a song reminds you of a drive home. Even an ordinary morning feels unfamiliar. And that's when the question arises: who am I right now? Because relationships is not just about love, they become the part of your identity. When we spend a long time with someone, something interesting happens psychologically. We begin to form a shared identity. It's no longer just about me and someone else. Instead, it becomes us. We go to these places, we watch these movies, we spend weekends like this. Even our future plans become shared. So when relationship ends, it's not about connection disappears. Part of your structure collapses. Your mind asks, if there is no more us, who am I? That's why feeling like you lost yourself isn't about weakness. It's a completely normal response to identity shift. There is another reason why this happens. Your brain loves familiar patterns. When someone is part of your life for a long time, they become part of your environment. Like your home, like your city, like your daily rhythm. When a relationship ends, it feels almost like moving to another different reality. Everything looks the same, but at the same time, everything feels slightly different. That's why people often feel emptiness, confusion, disorientation. And again, this is completely normal. But there is something people rarely mention. Sometimes when you say I lost myself, it doesn't only mean loss. Sometimes it means that the part of you had been hidden for a long time. In a relationship, we often adjust, adapt and compromise. And that's natural. But sometimes, along the way, we slowly start to disappear. We stop doing what we love, saying what we truly think, going where we want to go. And when the relationship ends, something strange happens. There is pain, but there is also space. Many people say, I feel sad, but lighter. Breakup can be two things at the same time: a loss and a release. You lose a person who was important to you, but you regain time, space, and your personal energy. That's why after a breakup, some people suddenly begin new project, traveling, career changes, or deep self-discovery. Not because breakups are good, but because they remove the old structure of life. And suddenly there is a space to build a new one. Instead of asking, how do I become a person who I was before, sometimes it's better to ask who I want to become now. Because life isn't about returning to the past, it's about moving forward. And someone who has lived through relationship, challenges, heartbreak and crisis is never the same person, but that's okay. If you are going through breakup right now, here are 3 things that will help you to reconnect with yourself. Rebuild your own life. Start doing things that belong to you again. Sport, hobbies, work or personal project. When you return to your life, your sense of self slowly returns too. Allow your emotions. Many people try to immediately move on, distract themselves or pretend that everything is fine. But sadness is natural part of healing. You can feel at the same time gratitude, sadness and relief. And that's normal. Don't rush to another relationship. After a breakup, people try to search another relationships. Sometimes it's just to feel the emptiness inside you. But the most valuable period when you get to meet yourself again. Here's a thought that I want to leave you with. Maybe after breakup you didn't lose yourself. Maybe you simply reached a point where your old identity ended and the new one hasn't fully formed yet. It's like standing on a bridge between 2 shores. The old shore is behind you and the new shore is ahead. And it's often on that bridge the most important discoveries about yourself happens. If you are going through a breakup and you feel like you lost yourself, remember one thing: you are not lost. You simply in a moment when your life rewrites itself. And maybe one day you will realize that in this day, when you started to become a person you were meant to be. Your mind understands that it's over, but your heart still holds on. And why does that happen? And why this is sometimes not about love, but about 3 psychological mechanisms that keep us stuck in past. Let's talk about it. Me and almost everyone experienced it once in a life. The relationship ends, you are no longer together, but your thoughts keep returning to this person. You remember conversations, moments of closeness and little details. And sometimes you catch yourself thinking, why I can't let them go? You understand that you should move on, but something inside still holds on. And it's important to understand one thing. This isn't always weakness, and it's not always emotional dependence. Sometimes it's simply how humans' mind works. Today we will look at 3 psychological reasons that make letting go so difficult. When 2 people spend a lot of time together, an emotional bond forms between them. It's not just love, it's also habits, shared moments, safety and emotional attachment. Your brain literally becomes addicted to feeling that someone is near you. When the bond breaks, your brain experiences it like losing part of your environment. And if something that was part of your reality disappears, that's why people feel the urge to send a message, check their social media or hear the voice again. Not because you are weak, but because your nervous system hasn't adjusted yet. Emotional bonds don't disappear overnight. They take time to fade. After a breakup, your brain playing some strange games. It slowly softens bad moments and strengthens the good ones. You start remembering beautiful moments, smiles, trips or meaningful conversations, but your brain rarely shows you the conflicts or misunderstandings. This is called idealization of the past. Your mind tries to preserve the image of something beautiful and meaningful. As a result, you may start thinking, what if I lost the best person in my life? But there is something important to remember. You are not always missing the real person. You're often missing the kind of person they stays in your memories. And memory not always objective. Sometimes people say, just forget them or find someone new, move on, but your mind doesn't work like that. If a connection was meaningful, it needs time to resolve. And that's normal. The real problem begins when someone stays stuck in memories, stops building a new life and lives only in the past. But if life continues moving forward, letting go happens naturally. There are few things that help people move through this process. Number one is acknowledge your feelings. Sometimes people try to appear strong and say, I don't care anymore. But if sadness is still there, it's better to acknowledge it. Sadness isn't weakness. It's a sign that a relationship mattered. Number two, stop idealizing the past. It can help to remember why the relationships ended. Not to become angry, but to restore a realistic perspective. Number three, start rebuilding your life. It's the most important step. When you begin to return your interest, build new projects, meet new people or move forward, the past slowly loses its emotional power. Not because it disappears, but because your life becomes bigger than the past. Sometimes we are holding on to memories, hope, or future that we imagined we will live together. And that's a very human experience. But there's something important to understand. Sometimes someone stays in our heart not because we are meant to be with them, but because they come to our life to teach us a lesson. If you can't let go of someone right now, don't blame yourself. Sometimes it simply means that connection was real. When people imagine breakup, they often think about pain, sadness or loss. But in reality, many people experience the super interesting experience. They may feel sadness, relief, gratitude, emptiness, sometimes even lightness. And that can feel confusing, because we assume emotions should be simple. But the human mind rarely works like that. Sometimes two completely different emotions can exist at the moment. Let's start with the most obvious part. Feeling sad after a breakup is completely normal. When two people spend a long time together, the emotional bond appears. It's not only love, it's also habit, closeness, shared memories, or future plans. Your brain literally adapts to the presence of the other person. When that connection ends, your mind experiences a loss, even if the decision was right, even if the relationship stopped working. The bond was still real, and sadness literally showed that this relationship mattered. Now let's talk about the other side. Why do many people feel relief? Because many relationships carry tension for a long time. Sometimes it's subtle, but it shows up in small things like you're breathing wrong, expectations, or different values. Some people live with this tension for months or even years. They get used to it, but their mind and body still carry it. So when the relationship ended, the tension suddenly disappeared, and your nervous system finally says, "Oh, I finally can breathe." Another important piece of a puzzle is that your mind and heart moves at a different speed. Your mind may understand the relationship wasn't working, your paths were diverging, the breakup was the right decision, but your heart still remembers the close moments, the warmth and happiness. So two processes happen at the same time. The mind feels relief, the heart feels loss. And together they create that strange emotional mix, sadness and relief at the same time. Sometimes a breakup feels like opening a window after a long time. On one side there is the cold air, but on the other side there is the freshness. You may lose the relationship but also regain your time, energy and your personal space. And many people sometimes say interesting thing. Life actually feels lighter now. And that doesn't mean the relationship was bad. It simply means that they were not right. There is another psychological mechanism that appear after a breakup. Your memory starts highlighting the good moments. You remember laughter, trips, hugs, but your brain rarely shows the conflicts, the tension, the reasons why relationship ended. It calls the idealizing the past, and it strengthens the sadness, while the relief reminds you of the other side of reality. In many relationships, people may stuck in two different things: stay or leave. The inner conflict can last for months, and it creates huge emotional pressure. When the final decision made, the brain finally feels now everything is clear, and that clarity brings relief. There is one idea that helps to interpret this emotional paradox. You can simultaneously value someone, feel grateful for the experience, and miss certain moments, and still know that the relationship ends for a right reason. These emotions are not contradictions. They simply reflect the complexity of real life. If you are going through this emotional mix right now, there are a few things that can actually help you. Don't try to choose one emotion. You can feel sadness, relief, gratitude, or guilt at the same time, and that's normal. Give yourself time. Your mind simply needs time to adjust. Today may feel heavy, next week might feel lighter. In a month, the memories can feel calmer. That's part of a healing. Start building your life again. When someone begins to return to their interest, focus on work or project, create new plans, their life slowly expands again, and the relationships becomes one chapter from the story, not the whole book. If you feel relief and sadness at the same time after a breakup, that's not strange. It simply means the truth existed at the same time. The connection was real, but its time has ended. And sometimes the moments like this become a moment of a new chapter in life, when a person starts understanding a life more clearly, who they are or what they value. And if this video resonated, drop a comment, subscribe and press like. So let's grow together. Have a good flight, fam. I'm a business owner and a psychologist, and I've seen these patterns again and again in others and even in myself. People don't sabotage their lives consciously, they do it unconsciously. Let's talk about how. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the parts of you that were rejected, suppressed, or judged early in life, and what you don't integrate controls you. Here are 3 ways your shadow already be shaping your life without you realizing it. Have you overreacted to something small? Someone's comment, a look, a tone of voice. That's not logic, that's your shadow. Psychologically, your shadow holds emotions you were never allowed to express. Jealousy, insecurity, and neediness. When those emotions push down, they don't disappear. They come back as reactions. You think you're choosing your actions, but you're actually being triggered. And triggered behavior feels defensive, urgent, automatic. But what helps in this situation? Start noticing your strongest emotional reaction. They are not flaws, they are messages. Ask, what part of me feels threatened right now? Awareness breaks the spell. Many people say they want success, intimacy, freedom, but when it gets close, they pull away. This is a classic shadow behavior. Part of you wants growth, another part fears what success represents: visibility, responsibility, loss of control. So you procrastinate, you delay, you forget, you self-sabotage. Not because you are lazy, but because the hidden part of you is protecting you from an old emotional wound. What helps in this situation? Stop asking, why can't I succeed? Start asking, what part of me is afraid of succeeding? When you make unconscious conscious, sabotage turns into cooperation. Pay attention to what irritates you in other people. Arrogance, weakness, neediness, confidence, or freedom. According to Jung, what you hate or admire excessively in others lives in your shadow. You learned early which traits are acceptable and which were not. The unacceptable ones were pushed down, but they don't die. They project outwards. That's why judgment feels emotional, not rational. And I was thinking, what helps in this situation? Instead of judging, investigate. Ask, what is this showing me about myself? Shadow work doesn't make you weaker, it makes you whole. I'm a business owner and a psychologist, and I've relied on motivation more times than I can count. Until I realized something uncomfortable, motivation can become a trap. So let's talk about the part that nobody talks about. Motivation is powerful, but it's not natural. It always comes from somewhere. And if you don't understand its source, it will drive your ways you don't intend. Here are 3 dark sides of motivation most people never examine. A lot of motivation doesn't come from desire. It comes from dissatisfaction. I need to be better, I can't stay like this. I will finally be worthy when I achieve this. Psychologically, this kind of motivation is driven by self-rejection. You are not moving toward the goal. You are running away from yourself. At first, it works. You push harder, you achieve more, you look disciplined. But underneath, the message stays the same. Who I am right now is not acceptable. And that creates chronic tension. No matter how much you improve, relief never comes. What helps in this situation? Motivation must be rooted in self-respect, not shame. Ask, am I moving because I hate where I am, or because I care where I'm going? The first burns you out, but the second sustains you. Motivation loves intensity. It tells you, go harder, push through, rest later. But psychology and biology don't work on slogans. When motivation overrides rest, emotion and recovery, your nervous system goes into a survival mode. Cortisol rises, focus narrows, joy disappears. You might still perform, but at a cost. This is how motivated people burn out without noticing it. They don't stop because they are weak. They stop because their systems collapses. But what helped in this situation? I was thinking about this. Replace motivation with rhythm. Growth needs cycles. Effort and rest, push and integration. Discipline without recovery isn't strength. It's a self-neglect disguised as ambition. Here's the deepest trap. Motivation feels good because it gives you direction. But direction without meaning feels empty over time. You can stay motivated for years, chasing the wrong goals that aren't actually yours. Goals built on comparison, on approval, or fear falling behind. And eventually motivation fades. Not because you are lazy, but because your mind asking a bigger question. Why am I doing this? When motivation replaces meaning, emptiness follows. What helps? Reconnect effort to values. Ask, if this never impressed anyone, would it still matter to me? Motivation should serve meaning, not replace it. Chronic tiredness isn't always physical. Very often, it's psychological. And when you don't understand the source, you keep trying to fix the wrong thing. Here are 3 reasons why you're tired, even when you sleep enough. You might be resting your body, but your nervous system is still on high alert. Constant thinking, judging, planning, monitoring your performance. Psychologically, this keeps you in a flight or fight state. Cortisol stays elevated. Recovery never completes. Sleep restores your body, but it can't calm a mind that never feels safe. That's one of the reasons why you wake up drained. Your nervous system never truly shut down. What helps in this situation? Signal safety, slow breathing, unstructured time, moments where nothing is expected from you. Rest is not the absence of work, it's the presence of safety. Mental fatigue don't come from effort alone. It comes from unresolved inner pressure. Decisions you postpone, emotions you suppress, thoughts you loop through without resolution. Each one takes energy. Psychology calls this cognitive load. Your mind is running background processes all day, even when you are doing nothing. That's why scrolling doesn't refresh you. It adds noise instead of releasing it. But I was thinking, what helps in this situation? Externalize the load. Write things down, make decisions small, and final, create mental closure. A calm mind is not empty, it's organized. This one is subtle and powerful. When your daily life isn't aligned with your values, your body pays the price. You say yes when you mean no. You chase goals that don't feel meaningful. You perform instead of express. Psychologically, this creates inner friction. And friction drains your energy faster than effort. You are tired not because you are weak, but because you are divided inside. What helps? Realign, not optimize. Ask, what am I doing out of obligation instead of honesty? Energy returns when integrity returns. Here's the question most people never consider. What if your problem isn't discipline, but disconnection? And I've worked with people who blame themselves for years. Lazy, unfocused, lost. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was simpler and deeper. When you're disconnected from what truly matters to you, your energy disappears. Not because you don't care, but because your soul isn't involved. Let me explain how this happens and how to reconnect. Most people don't choose their lives, they inherit them. Schedules, expectations, goals that sounded right. Psychologically, this creates emotional numbness. You function, but you don't feel alive. And when life feels empty, your body reacts with resistance, procrastination, fatigue, disinterest. That's not laziness. That's your system saying, this life doesn't feel like mine. And I was thinking, what can help in this situation? Pause and ask, when was the last time I felt truly alive? Energy returns when life feels personal again. Modern culture teaches us one thing: push harder. But the soul never responds to force. It responds to meaning. When you ignore your inner signals, like boredom, resistance, sadness, they don't disappear. They turn into exhaustion. Psychologically, this is called internal conflict. One part of you is pushing, another is pulling away, and the result is paralysis. What helps? Stop asking, how do I motivate myself? Start asking, what am I avoiding feeling? Motivation returns when listening replaces forcing. You can be busy all day and still feel empty. Why? Because productivity answers how, but purpose answers why. When your actions aren't connected to your values, your soul withdraws. You still function, but there is no fire, no spark and no meaning. And without meaning, energy collapses. What helps? Reconnect action to values. Ask, if no one rewarded me for this, would it still matter to me? That question brings your soul back into the room. You don't need to become someone new. You need to come back to yourself. Self-sabotage isn't a self-hate, it's a misguided self-protection. Your mind learned long ago how certain risks meant pain, rejection, shame, or abandonment. So when your dream threatens your old identity, the system pulls the brake. And here are 4 different reasons you sabotage your dreams. Your identity is what feels familiar, not what's the best. So if you spent years to be a helper, struggler, the quiet one, the potential person, then real success creates identity shock. Psychologically, the mind resists change that feels unsafe, even if it's positive. So you procrastinate, delay, or mess up to return to what feels known. And I was thinking, what can help in this situation? Update your identity before upgrading your goals. Ask, who I need to become to feel safe with this success? If in the past effort led to burnout, visibility leads to criticism, your nervous system remembers that. So when you move toward your dream, your body reacts with anxiety, exhaustion, or avoidance. Not because the dream is wrong, but because your system expects that. What helps? Build success slowly and safely. Teach your body that progress doesn't mean punishment. Growth separates you from old dynamic. Your fear outgrowing your friends, being misunderstood or being judged. So part of you holds back. Not because you don't want the dream, but because you don't want loneliness that can cave in. What helps in this situation? Accept that growth changes relationship, but also opens space for a deeper one. Your shadow holds a fear of visibility, fear of responsibility, fear of being seen fully. When you don't face it consciously, it acts unconsciously. That's when you miss deadlines, choose distractions, sabotage momentum. But what helps in this situation? Instead of fighting sabotage, ask, what is this protecting me from? Integration ends the war. So if you're interested about integrating your shadow, watch this video. This fear isn't fear of failure, it's a fear of change. Your nervous system prefers familiar even when familiar hurts. So when fear threatens your current identity, relationship, fear appears to protect you. Here are 4 different fears that blocks every dreamer and how to move through them. Many people say want success, but not visibility. Being seen means being judged, being misunderstood, or being exposed. Psychologically, visibility activates old fear of rejection or criticism. So you stay almost ready. You delay, you hide behind preparation. And I was thinking how to release it. Practice safe visibility. Share imperfectly, start small. Teach your nervous system that being seen doesn't equal danger. Dreams bring freedom, but also responsibility. Success means decisions matter, people rely on you. You can't hide behind excuses anymore. For the psyche, responsibility means pressure. So part of you stays small to stay safe. How to release it? Reframe responsibility as choice, not burden. You are not trapped by success, you empowered by it. Growth separates new values, new directions, and that threatens old identity, relationships, and roles. So your mind asks, if I succeed, will I feel alone? How to release it? Accept that growth costs familiarity, but creates alignment, and you don't lose connection, you upgrade it. Here's the deepest one. If you've been the dreamer, the struggler, the one with potential, what happens when your dream becomes real? Success dissolves old identity, and the ego fears emptiness. How to release it? Let identity be fluid. You are not becoming someone else. You are allowing yourself to expand. Fear isn't the enemy of your dream. It's a guardian of your old life. Thank it and move away. Feeling lost isn't something accidental. Sometimes psychologically it's safer than clarity. Clarity demands action. Direction demands responsibility. And being lost lets you delay both. Here are 4 reasons people become addicted to feeling lost. When you are lost, nothing is final. No clear direction means no wrong choice, no real failure, no full responsibility. Psychologically, this keeps anxiety low in a short term, but it also freezes growth. You tell yourself, I'm still figuring things out, but what you are really avoiding is avoiding the risk of choosing. Being lost feels terrible, but choosing feels terrifying. If you've identified as a seeker, the thinker, the one with potential, then clarity threatens your identity. Once you choose a path, the story changes, and the ego resists losing familiar labels, even uncomfortable ones. So staying lost becomes a reason to stay. Growth doesn't scare the ego, transformation does. Lost people are rarely judged harshly. Others will say, take your time, it's normal, you will figure it out. And that social permission creates safety. Psychologically, being lost gives you a reason to stay safe. But over time, that pause creates pattern. Confusion becomes a shelter, not knowing creates a lifestyle. Clarity isn't just motivation. Clarity isn't just motivating. It's painful. It forces you to take paths you don't want to take, time you can't get back, versions of life you must let go. Staying lost postpones that grief. So your mind chooses fog over the truth, uncertainty over closure. But unresolved grief turns into chronic emptiness. Women wait for love, attention, or recognition from the outside. But psychologically, world mirrors how you treat yourself. And until you shift something inside, the gift you truly want keeps missing you. Here are 4 blocks that stop you from receiving what you deserve. You say you want care, respect, softness, but the deep inside, your part feels, maybe I'm asking for too much. Psychologically, when your self-growth is fragile, you lower your standards without noticing it. You laugh when something hurts. You say it's okay when it isn't. You accept crumbs and call it patience. You won't receive a beautiful gift, emotionally or physically, until you believe you deserve beautiful gift. So to shift, stop shrinking your needs. Soft girls still deserve strong love. Many women are raised to be independent, capable and resilient. But here's the quiet truth. When you never allow yourself to be soft, people just stop seeing your softness. You become the strong one, the she can handle it girl. Psychologically, when you don't show vulnerability, others assume you don't need care. And on March 8th or on any day, care comes to the energy you allow. What to shift? Strength is beautiful, but softness is powerful. Allow yourself to receive. Flowers feel good, compliments feel good, but if your happiness depends on external validation, love never feels secure. You will question it, doubt it, overthink it. The real gift isn't attention. It's secure connection starting with yourself. What to shift? Build a relationship with yourself that feels safe. Then attention becomes a bonus, not a lifeline. You wait someone else to notice you, to praise you, to appreciate you. But how often do you celebrate yourself, your growth, your resilience, your beauty inside and out? Psychologically, when you ignore your own value, the world follows your lead. You won't receive a meaningful gift until you treat yourself like someone worth gifting. What you can shift? Buy your own flowers sometimes. Speak kindly to yourself. Be your first admirer. Self-improvement becomes addictive when it's no longer about growth, but about escaping discomfort. When improvement replaces acceptance, the mind never rests. Here are 4 signs that self-improvement becomes your new addiction. If every quiet moment triggers the urge to optimize, learn more or fix something, that's not discipline, that's avoidance. Psychologically, constant improvement can become a way to avoid stillness. And stillness brings feelings like doubt, emptiness or fear. So the mind stays busy. Growth becomes the movement without presence. Ask yourself honestly, do you feel valuable only when you are improving? If rest creates guilt, if slowing down feels like a failure, then improvement has replaced self-worth. Psychology calls this conditional self-acceptance, and it guarantees exhaustion because worth is never finished. There is always another habit, another routine, another mindset, but satisfaction never arrives. Why? Because the brain learned, I will feel enough later. This creates endless postponement of peace, and peace delayed long enough feels unfamiliar. At some point, life becomes preparation. Everything is for later, for the future version of you. But psychology is clear. A life lived only for improvement is a life never actually lived. Growth should enhance life, not replace it. Your mind gets tired for different reasons. Sleep helps muscles, but mental energy depends on clarity, safety and meaning. Here are 4 reasons your mind feels exhausted and tired, and how to restore your energy. Your brain hates unfinished loops, unmade decisions, unspoken thought, unclear priorities. Psychologically, each open loop consumes energy in the background. Even when you are resting, your mind's still working. That's why mental fatigue feels heavy and foggy. How to restore energy? Create closure. Write things down. Decide small things fully. A rested mind is a resolved mind. Mental exhaustion often comes with too much input, not too much effort. Notifications, scrolling, noise. Your brain never enters recovery mode. It stays alert, always reacting, always processing. How to restore energy? Reduce stimulations. Quiet time, single tasking, short walks. Mental energy returns when the brain isn't constantly fed. Trying to push through mental fatigue backfires. When the mind feels pressured, it resists. And resistance drains more energy than effort. Psychologically, forced focus activates stress, not clarity. How to restore energy? Switch from force to rhythm. Work in focused blocks, like 45 minutes of deep work and 15 minutes of rest. And respect your mental limits. Flow comes from cooperation, not control. This one is deep. When your daily actions don't match your values, your mind carries constant friction. You say yes when you mean no. You chase goals that don't feel true. You perform instead of express. That internal conflict is just exhausting. How to restore energy? Realign gently. Ask, what am I doing from obligation instead of honesty? Mental energy returns when you live closer to. If you build these habits today. And I will show you my secret journaling technique to achieve this. It's not a secret that for productivity in flow state you need a clear mind. What if I told you that I have a method for that, for clarity, calmness and focus? Before I was not focused. A lot of distracting thoughts was in my head and I found meditation. Here's the technique. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, start breathing, and feel the air going in and out your nose. No thoughts, just feeling. Start by doing 5 to 10 minutes. Once you quiet your mind, it's time to organize your thoughts with journaling. If you get just a little better each day, even 1%, it makes a big changes in a year. It's called compound growth and it's real and it's 37% a year. First is anxiety and quieting your mind technique. Before you go to sleep, just give yourself 20 minutes of preparation. Just sit, dump all your thoughts on paper for 10 minutes. After, walk away. After 10 minutes, reread it, write one sentence in summary, and flush it. It's hard to keep all thoughts and ideas in mind, so I invented my journaling technique. You need to create second memory for yourself. Here's my invention of journaling, and there are 2 steps. The second one is achieve everything you want method. Write a calendar and add some things that you must do every day. Like meditations, journaling, reading, etc. Write your month goals on the second page. Visualization. Here's the method how to do it. Before I was just super unfocused on the desired outcome. Write down your future in 5 years. And write down what you eat, what you do, what you feel every day. And start your day by reading it and try to feel the state in the future. Feel the feelings. Achieving a big goal is hard and you need to train your dopamine system. Set small daily goals to achieve a big goal. Break your big goal into tiny goals and write them down in your journal. Try to finish one small goal in a day or a week. It keeps you moving forward. Celebrate small wins. Every time you finish a step, give yourself a high five or give yourself a present. It keeps you motivated. What a lot of people don't like to do. Reading, but it's necessary fun. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day will keep you inspired and motivated. And you feel smarter. Your future self just needs to be smarter. Just put this in your journal. So let's be real. The one thing that's standing between you and your dream is your daily habits. I've seen how it changed my life, and if you stay consistent, it will change your life too. No one coming to save you. No magic is going to happen. But you can show up today, tomorrow, and every day after. Imagine this, 1 year from now, you will achieve everything you wanted, visualized, and worked for. Not because you are lucky, because you built a system. But as soon as I did it, I encountered difficulties that impacted me. It all started brightly. I believed in myself at first. I thought I could overcome any obstacle. This lasted a while until I encountered some obstacles on my path, which I will describe next. Self-belief is crucial on achieving the path of a dream, because before you reach a satisfactory level, it feels like you're staring at the pit from one side, and on the other side you see the outcome you're dreaming of. At first, taking this leap into the unknown is terrifying. It's essential to believe in your strength and yourself, especially to take the first step, which is one of the most scariest ones. Everyone can take this first step, even if it looks terrifying. Once you take it, you realize that the scariest part is behind you and the pit isn't so deep. And so I began to create the content I dreamed of. During this period, I felt extraordinary inspiration from the process. I just enjoyed every moment of video editing and video filming. But sometimes it really felt like I was floating above the ground. I made my first video and faced some challenges along the way. I loved going out and making new acquaintances. When I posted the video, emotion was incredible joy, euphoria. But I encountered the issue of inconsistency. But to be honest, I really love to travel along the island and to visit different cafes, different places, or just having fun. That's why it took me an entire month to make the first video. Of course, I put a lot of effort into this video and it turned out great, but I spent too much time on this video. Then I posted the third and the second video. It took me almost 3 months to complete this. With this frequency, there is just no chance on YouTube to achieve my dream. And I began to realize that achieving my childhood dream to become a content creator is impossible. It's important to understand that consistency is a very crucial part, especially in achieving your dream. Without it, it's just very challenging to achieve the desired outcome. I suggest paying attention to this. The third challenge was communication. It's not a secret that when people lose some communications in their life, they started to lose their minds. Of course, I met people and made friends from them.
Hello, everybody.
But it was very quirky that I just come up to them and started chatting like an old friend. I was asking questions such as how long this group is existed or what he was eating before, and they looked at me like I was crazy. I saw that most people found this alarming, but because there was so random, we didn't find a good connection, because I love filming, video editing, but other people like cryptocurrency or something like this. We was just so different. I felt very lonely during this period. As a result, I found myself lacking the social interactions. I was just working and eating Taco Bell all the time. Oh, I love Taco Bell so much. I admit that this lifestyle appealed to me because I was creating content and eating junk food. I began to replace my passion with watching YouTube or Netflix and eating Taco Bells and such fast food. And at some point I started to look like a hero from some anime about reincarnation, who was just like sitting at home and just eating junk food. Only my desired reincarnation in a new world didn't happen. But today I'm addicted to something new. growth, peace, power. Let me show you how I got there and 5 habits that rewired my brain. I didn't start as a morning routine type. I started as a kid in a wrong crowd who tried something once and fell off the cliff for years. I wanted to grow, I wanted to change. But it's too hard to do when your brain locked up with chains. Years passed in fog, anxiety, depression. Then one day I snapped. Not in a Hollywood way. Just a small whisper inside my head that says me, enough. So I rebuilt myself with the tiny steps. And I want you to show you 5 habits that gave me myself back. Move your body, even if you are not a gym guy. I used to wake up like a zombie, zero energy at all. Turns out you don't need a 6-pack, you just need a 10 minutes of movement. Push-ups, stretches, that's all you need. It kickstarts your dopamine in your brain, wakes up your system body, and you feel lighter, like you're floating. Contrast showers. Warning, you will scream. Right after I move, I hit a shower, but not just any shower. I learned to shook my system with a cold and hot contrast. It boosts your circulation, boosts your nervous system, might help with depression. I had a clinical depression and it helps me a little bit. But if you have this, just go to the pro, please. Now when body awake, it's time to quiet your mind. 10 minutes, your eyes closed. Feel the breath going in and out your nose. It calms chaos, build awareness. I even got a hormone boosting meditations. If you want that, comment boost. Journaling like a boss with a toilet twist. At night my brain started to spin up like a washing machine, so I started to write it down. 10 minutes, dump every thought on paper. After, walk away. After 10 minutes, reread it, write 1 sentence in summary, and flush it, literally. By anxiety, by clutter, see how mind is activated. I go to bed before 11 p.m. because no success was found in 2 a.m. scrolling. Sleep in your mental reset, no negotiations. I was doing well focused, motivated while chasing my dream to become a content creator. My mission is to live honestly and positively impact people's lives. But I'm not a perfect man. I battled anxiety and clinical depression. And yes, I used alcohol to cope this a little bit. Last week I drank every day while still trying to hit my goals. 2 simple goals. To post shorts every day. I've done this for 1 month. And the second goal is to release 2 long-form videos on YouTube. It was brutal. My mood and productivity dropped at least by 3x. I felt like a zombie. It was just a body moving through all the motions. One night of drinking turned into all the day of recovery. That's workout. Missed, journal, blank. The sleep was delayed. You don't have to be an addict, but still alcohol slows you down. Here's what helped me bounce back, and these are habits that I use whenever I need clarity. First, meditation. 10 minutes of silence can realign the whole day. It's time to quiet your mind. 10 minutes, your eyes closed. Feel the breath going in and out your nose. It helps you to process stress, sharpen focus, and stay motivated, and stay emotionally steady. You don't need to empty your mind. You just need to sit, breathe, and be present. 165 days to build $1,000 from scratch. No shortcuts, just mindset and action. Being average is okay if you aim for the better. I had no clue where to start. I failed, I almost gave up. But I built a plan, stacked habits and break the goal down. How to stay productive, how to build value and how to achieve your goal. This is day 123. I will post everything. What works, what fails, what grows. If you are chasing something too, let's grow together. Here I will explain what to do to achieve this. I want to become a full-time content creator. Let's break down this into pieces. To start earning $1,000, I need a plan. I need working method. So let me show you it. YouTube pays me $4 for every 1,000 views. So to hit $1,000, I need around 250,000 views. Sounds like a lot, but with the right system, it's possible. I'm currently working at a full-time job and I can produce 4 long-form videos and 12 short-form videos to boost my channel. It's 30 long-form videos and 96 short-form videos till the end of the year. Extra difficulty is that I need to move to another country to get monetization. So let me show you my journaling method and the habits that will support my goal. Sounds crazy, but let's use journaling to achieve this and break into smaller goals. Visualization. Here's the method how to do it. Before I was just super unfocused on the desired outcome. Write down your future in 5 years and write down what you eat, what you do, what you feel every day. And start your day by reading it and try to feel the state in the future. Feel the feelings. Achieving a big goal is hard and you need to train your dopamine system. Set small daily goals to achieve a big goal. Break your big goal into tiny goals and write them down in your journal. Try to finish one small goal in a day or a week. It keeps you moving forward. Celebrate small wins. Every time you finish a step, give yourself a high five or give yourself a present. It keeps you motivated. If you get just a little better each day, even 1%, it makes a big changes in a year. It's called compound growth and it's real and it's 37% a year. First is anxiety and quieting your mind technique. Before you go to sleep, just give yourself 20 minutes of preparation. Just sit, dump all your thoughts on paper for 10 minutes. After, walk away. After 10 minutes, reread it, write one sentence in summary and flush it. It's hard to keep all thoughts and ideas in mind. So I invented my journaling technique. You need to create second memory for yourself. Here's my invention of journaling and there are 2 steps. The second one is achieve everything you want method. Write a calendar and add some things that you must do every day. Like meditations, journaling, reading, etc. Write your month goals on the second page. I wish someone told me earlier. I'm an average man who is struggling from different things on the path of self-improvement. Being average is okay if you aim for the better. Just this thought gave me some calmness. Just small actions making a big differences in life. So let me share mistakes that stops your productivity. But I decided to change that. If you want to change too, follow my journey. No clear focus or daily plan. Fix it with journaling. You wake up, scroll your phone, maybe thinking about doing something productive, but by the end of the day, you didn't complete anything. Sound familiar? That's because without clear focus, your energy gets pulled to every direction. And your brain just reacts instead of leading. The solution is simple, just start journaling. Not to be aesthetics, but to build a system in your brain. Here's 2 simple step method. Step 1, daily habit tracker. Write down 3 to 5 habits you want to do daily, like journaling, meditation, reading. Tick them off every night. That builds momentum and reminds your brain what matters. Monthly goal page. Take your big dream and break it down. What you need to do this month is to move 1% closer. Write it. Focus on 1 to 2 core goals and let everything else go. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a clear one. You binge self-help videos, watch productive videos, and still feeling not so productive. You're consuming more than creating. Inspiration is fuel, but if you never drive a car, you're going nowhere. Here's the rule: after 20 minutes of consuming, spend 20 minutes of applying. Start building something. A habit, a journal, a skill, a video. That's how change happens. Aiming at the wrong things. Find your own mission. Working hard means nothing if you're climbing the wrong mountain. So many people chase their goals that aren't theirs. Careers, bodies, lifestyle they think they should want. Ask yourself, what excites me naturally? What would I do if I didn't care what other will thought? What do I want to give to this world? Write your values, that's your compass. Align your goals with that and you will stop forcing motivation. It will start pulling you forward. Neglecting energy and mindset. Your body powers your mind. You can't pour from an empty cup. Yet we expect ourselves to perform like machines. While sleeping 4 hours, drinking caffeine, ignoring movement and ignoring stress. That leads to the brain fog, to low willpower, to burnout. Start simple. Sleep 7 to 8 hours a day, have a walk, drink water before coffee, meditate and try to catch focus. Treat your body like a teammate, because it is. You are not broken, you just distracted, misaligned and maybe a little bit overwhelmed like I was. But here's the truth, you don't need to be perfect, just intentional. Each small decision, each habit builds a momentum. Journaling gave me clarity. Cutting distractions gave me time. And chasing the right goals gave me the purpose. If you're stuck unproductive right now, just remember, you're one tiny step from the progress. Only truth and what worked on my path. When you decide to chase a dream, you become a traveler on a path of personal development. Each step moving you forward. Does that always true? Before I was making each step towards my goal. That lasted a while before I encountered difficulties on my path. I was feeling stuck and I came back to old habits that moved me backwards. I was distracted by Netflix and dumbless YouTube scrolling. After this, I let go of every distraction that was on my way. Bad habits, dumb scrolling through social media, and what happens next to you. You let go of your friends because they not support you and not support your goals and standards. Here's you starting a lonely chapter. Before stepping on a path of self-improvement, I was a very sociable person. This lasted a while. All my friends was like a crowd. They were saying, "Oh, that's impossible. Sit down and don't move. You will not succeed in this." At this moment I thought, maybe that's not my friends, and it makes me sad. really sad. I understood that they not support me and not support my goals. Having fun together is great, but chasing your dream is much, much greater. That puts you in the top 10% of people who is actually go for it. So you need to become one of them. Turn feeling into your new ego. What is ego and how it belongs to a dreamer path? How to turn it to your side. Ego isn't always the enemy. If used right, it can become your greatest ally. When you're chasing your dream, you're not acting. You are becoming a creator, an achiever, a finisher. When you do sports, you became a sportsman. When you create a music, you became a musician. When you chase your dream and doing everything to achieve this goal, you became an achiever. The moment you start chasing your dream, you stop being who you were. And that's the point. On the one hand, you are a different person. On the other hand, you are a person who is able to complete this. So, became a goal finisher. How it sounds to you? Do you like it? Every time you have doubts, just remember, you are a goal finisher, not just regular you. I used to think that chasing your dream just hard work, but I was not right. Chasing a dream is transforming from who you were to who you must become. It's not a straight path. It's messy, it's scary, and deeply lonely. I had to let go of distractions, comfort, and sometimes even let go of people who you called friends. Not because I didn't love them, but because they weren't built for where I was going. The truth is, not everyone have a dream. Many just have wishes. Wish is passive. A dream backed by action. It's power. And if you feel like you're stuck, maybe you're dreaming the wrong dream or chasing the wrong way. So how do you actually achieve a dream faster? Not by writing it down once, not by fake motivation, but becoming a version of you who become finisher. By taking action even when it's boring. By turning pain into power and distractions into full focus. You don't need to be perfect, you don't need to be talented, but you need to be consistent. Athletes call it the zone, creators call it inspiration, but scientists call it optimal experience. But most of us rarely feel it. In real life, with stress, phones, distractions, it's almost impossible to enter that zone. That's why I made this video, to show you that you can achieve flow state in everyday life. I'm not a born YouTuber. I'm just a regular guy who is chasing his dream. I've worked on 10 plus different jobs in different fields, and I failed more times than I can count. But I kept coming back to one thing. It is my childhood dream to become a content creator. Now, 15 years later, I'm actually doing it. But this time with better habits and new mindset. So here's what I learned and how to stay productive and achieve flow state. Be fully present. First 10 minutes are everything. When you begin any task, put your phone away. Close all tabs and be prepared. Forget the past. Forget about the future. Your only job is to be here and now. Flow begins with full attention. Create feeling of safety. Here's no one talks about. Your brain can't focus if it doesn't feel safe. You are constantly worrying about money, relationships, deadlines, and your brain goes into defense state. To unlock a flow state, just secure your basic need. Have a simple income source that supports you. Create safe and calm environment. Only then your brain let go and focus. Use meditation as a warm-up. You don't need hours of meditation. You just need 5 minutes to reset and focus your mind. Sit comfortably, breathe in, feel the air goes through your nose. In, out. Every time your mind drifts, bring it back. You are not trying to clear your mind. You are training focus, just like a muscle. And once you centered, start your new habit right after. That's where the magic happens. Stack habits intelligently. When you are ready, it's perfect time to move to your next important task. Write, film, design, whatever your main work is. Habit stacking reduces resistance. It builds a momentum. Meditate, work out, read. Small shifts, big results. Use time limits to boost your urgency. Have you noticed that you made more when you have a deadline? That's because urgency sharpens focus. So set a timer to 25 minutes, no distractions. Tell yourself, I have only this time, let's go. When the time's up, make a short break and then repeat. I used to feel lost. Chasing the wrong goals is just a wasting of time. Now I build every day toward the dream I nearly forgot. You don't need to be perfect. You just need clarity, calm, and momentum. I will show you 4 powerful exercises to release anxiety, clear your mind, and get into a flow state. Just real tools that work. An anxious mind is a clutter mind. That's why I do these things first before touching my phone. Open a journal on a blank page, write everything down what is in your mind. No filter, no structure. Set a timer for 10 minutes, let your thoughts spill. After, read it and write 1 sentence in summary to summarize what you wrote. This turns the chaos in your head into clarity on a page. You take back to control. Next, I sit down and reset my nervous system. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, inhale for 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds. Repeat for 5 minutes, focusing on the breath going in and out your nose. This isn't just about being calm. It lowers your cortisol and boosts your focus. Sometimes your body stores anxiety your brain can't process. Go for a 10 minutes walk to release anxiety and focus on the feeling how your feet hits the ground. Observe your thoughts, but don't chase them. This simple act resets your nervous system and brings you back to the present. Your biggest causes of anxiety is uncertainty about the future. So let's build it. Every morning or every evening, write 5 sentences about your future ideal day in 5 years. What are you doing? What are you feeling? With whom are you? Reread it every day to rewire your brain to that reality. The more vivid you are, the more brain trusts this vision and start working towards it automatically. These 4 exercises give your mind calmness, your body peace, and your life direction. So let me tell you something real. I wasn't always so productive. I wasn't always on a self-improvement path. I was distracted, unfocused, and wasting time every single day. But once I made these 5 changes, everything shifted. So let me show you how to get Olympic results in achieving your dream. Alcohol doesn't just affect your body. It steals your time, it steals your energy, and it steals your clarity. You tell yourself it helps you relax, but what if I told you that there is a deeper way to relax without sacrificing your goal? We will get to that soon, but first, cut the poison. It takes 3 days to fully recover after just one night of drinking. Your dream can't afford that kind of delay. I used to game 5 to 8 hours a day. That's 10 full days every month is gone. It gives you fake progress, fake dopamine, while your real goals stay still. Games aren't evil. It hijacks your motivational system, making you chase virtual goals instead of your own. When I let go of gaming, I finally had the time to build real momentum. So ask yourself, you are leveling up in game or in real life? Enter monk mode, build unbreakable, focus. That sounds simple, but that's the most powerful. Monk mode, full commitment. No more than 2 hours of screen time, no meaningless meetings, just to chill. No side quests, only one mission, and it's micro steps. While others are distracted, you are focused, you are consistent. If you enter monk mode, you will outperform 90% of people, because you actually finish what you start. Now let's talk about dopamine. This is your internal fire. If you chase one big goal, it's like throwing all the woods in a campfire all at once. It burns out. Instead, feed it slowly. Break your big dream into tiny, clear steps to check off them daily. Each step gives you energy. Each step gives you momentum. That's how you stay consistent, fulfilled, and in control. Remember that I said that there is a better way to relax than alcohol. This is it. Yoga Nidra is a guided meditation that's like a power nap for your brain. It reduces stress, restores energy, and even improves your focus and creativity. Do it between work blocks or when you hit mental fatigue. Even 20 to 30 minutes can give you Olympic level recovery. I highly recommend trying it, and if you want a guided version from me, comment below guide and I will make it happen. Here's the truth. You don't need to be extraordinary to get extraordinary results. You just need to stop doing things that destroys your focus and start doing things that moves you forward. So here's your Olympic dream toolkit. No drinking, no gaming, enter monk mode, set small daily achievable goals, and recharge with Yoga Nidra. It's not easy, but if you commit, you will start flying instead when others are crawling.